My journey to black belt began on a bench. It all started when I decided to enroll our daughter in Krav Camp one summer when she was 6 years old. We had discussed wanting to get her involved in martial arts, and after doing some research on local centers, we decided to take a chance at KMMA. After the 2-week camp, she decided she loved it and began weekly classes. It wasn't long before her brothers joined her in the Little Ninjas program, terrorizing their sensei as the true definition of double trouble. As I watched my children learn, I found myself instinctively stepping in to help. When I noticed one of them standing incorrectly or throwing a wild round kick, I corrected them. I recited the student creed alongside the class, counted down from 5 when one of the sensei shouted, "Line up," and found my hands moving seemingly of their own accord when I heard, "Give them 2 claps." The dojo had begun working its mind tricks on me. Still, I sat the bench. As an athletically challenged individual, I felt at home on the bench, taking care of our twins when they weren't training or trying to corral them as they ran amok across the mat. I think the real catalyst to me taking the first step to becoming a black belt was watching my husband take the mat at the request of our daughter. She's really good at getting people roped into things, especially her daddy. Now, you might not know this about me, but I have little to no competitive nature. My kids call me the best loser in the family because I can't even beat them in card games. And it doesn't bother me at all. Apparently, the only exception to this is my husband. If you have ever watched us train together, you may have noticed that I am incredibly competitive when he is involved. I will attack him harder and defend more aggressively anytime he's the one attacking me. Watching him start training and seeing the skills he was learning triggered my competitive side to say, I can do that if he can. So I got up. I tried out a class or 2, spoke to the senseis, and finally added another attendance card with the name Garlock on it to the bin. I exchanged my bench seat for a little white X in the center of a mat. Since that day, I've learned a few things. First and foremost, I learned that you don't get anywhere by sitting the bench. Grandmaster always says that a black belt is a white belt that never quit. This holds true. Now, don't get me wrong. I was not one that was raring to get to the dojo to start training. There were days, and there still are days, that I just didn't want to. There were days when I would tell my husband that I was done and I would not be coming to classes anymore. Sometimes, I think I missed my bench seat. This is where I learned another lesson. Depend on others. My kids and husband held me accountable, and I came to depend on them on the hard days to encourage me to just show up. Once I was in the dojo, I always completed my training and felt much better afterwards, maybe even a little proud of myself for making it through the class that I nearly didn't attend at all. Looking back, I'm thankful for those hard days. Those were the days that challenged me to become a better person, a better mom, and a better role model for my kids, showing them that when things get tough, we can lean on each other for support. I want to thank Grandmaster and the many senseis and shihans that have guided me to this day, my family for guilting me into coming to class, and my fellow candidates for beating me up and letting me beat them up in return. I wish the white belt version of me could see this day. I don't really think she would believe that I made it far enough to test for this. That bench warmer always assumed I would drop out at some point and watch the rest of my family continue on their journeys to black belt without me. But I pushed through. I overcame my fears and insecurity about my extreme lack of coordination and made it to this step. I like to close with one of my favorite quotes that sums up my journey from spectator to white belt to probationary candidate. Fate whispers to the warrior, "You cannot withstand the storm." But the warrior whispers back, "I am the storm." Thank you.